I just wanted to make a comment about the current political insanity, mainly from the Republican side of this country. I just don't understand how is it that people are still supporting these people. And, unless they're insane Nazi sympathizers, that's the only way. I mean, or unless you're high or have like a 50 IQ. So everything that they propose, nobody's outraged. Very few people on the right are outraged at any proposal that comes out of the Republican side. Mike Pence, he proposed that women who had miscarriages had to have a funeral for the remains of that miscarriage, which is usually just blood. So, I mean, how is that not outrageous? How is it that people are not outraged about such a thing? They propose, they close every Planned Parenthood. They want to destroy Planned Parenthood, which provides care for women for their prenatal care. They provide STDs testing and treatment for gazillions, thousands and thousands and thousands of women in this country. And only because they just so happen to provide abortions, which is legal in this country. And by the way, not one penny, nothing from the taxpayers is used to provide those abortions at those clinics. Just because of that, they want to close the entire funding, and they've killed it. They successfully killed funding for Planned Parenthood in a bunch of places. How is it that nobody's outraged? A lot of these women in these states that are providing this are in Republican red states, which just so happens to be the states with the highest teen pregnancy rates of any case, and with the highest unemployment rates of all states, with the highest welfare contributions to its constituents. I mean, there are Republican counties where the people on welfare are 26% of the population, mostly white. I mean, what is the matter with these people? How is it that they're not outraged at this? Oh, and in Ohio, where Mike Pence was the governor, Ohio or Indiana, wherever the fuck it is that he was, he single-handedly created an HIV epidemic because they stopped providing, care, STD prevention for people in that state. A huge, humongous HIV epidemic in his state, and nobody's outraged about that. This guy, Mike Pence, he went on national TV on an interview criticizing Colin Powell when he said that more people should use condoms, which, by the way, the Centers for Disease Control in this country have deemed to be highly effective in preventing sexually transmitted diseases like HIV. And he goes on and says that the condoms are too liberal and are what was the other term he used? Now, and then highly ineffective in preventing sexually transmitted disease, which is an absolute lie. Simply because he doesn't want to piss. First of all, he's a religious right-wing extremist. He's a Christian extremist, and he doesn't want to lose the support from his Christian extremist people. It's just an outrage. Now, these people, every measure that these people want to pass is outrageously inhumane. This Mike McCollum or whatever the hell this Mitch McCollum, human trash, if you ask me. this guy. For everything that he tried to kill and destroy. This guy got taxpayer-funded health care when he was a kid because he had polio. He'd probably be dead if it wasn't for socialized health care. Now he wants to destroy health care. People say, oh no, yes they are. They're taking away pre-existing condition coverage. They say, we're not taking it away, we're leaving it up to the states, which means they're taking it away. Because if the states wants to say, we're not going to cover pre-existing coverage, period, that's it. Every single health organization that analyzes health care says it's against this, destructive, genocidal health care bill. And they're saying, oh no. I mean, how many lies do people have to be told to be outraged? To stop supporting these animals? They want to stop. This bill takes away protection for treatment for opiate addiction, which we're having a huge epidemic. This is the scourge of the United States. It's the number one cause of quote unquote accidental death. It's surpassed by far car accidents. They're having to call in fucking refrigerated trailers in some states so they can put the dead in there. I mean, it's outrageous. And they say they don't want a minimum wage. If it was up to them, they will abolish the minimum rate, the minimum wage. They don't want to increase it, because their argument is, people should be able, but they're fine. They're just a bunch of, moochers and welfare queens and stuff. And you're just not working enough. When the statistics, everybody knows that you can't live nowhere in this country. You can survive with $8 an hour. Nowhere. Unless you live in the fucking woods and bathe and drink rainwater and hunt your own food. And even that will take too long. You'll be too exhausted to come home and hunt food. I mean, it's just outrageous. And the poor people voting against themselves. So, I mean, what's it going to take for those people to wake up? And, what outrages me, what's really outrageous, is that these people who support Donald Trump and the Republican Party as it is, the Republican Party of today, which has turned, if you ask me, into it's a blatant terrorist organization. That's exactly what they are. If you don't believe me, go ask how many Iraqis were murdered in the first Iraqi war. Over 1 million, first and second, over 1 million. And that war was started, the one from after the 9/11, started on lies. There were lies, and none of those people who lied to the American public about weapons of mass destruction, none of them are incarcerated. However, we have thousands of our servicemen and women dead and maimed and destroyed with PTSD and amputations and limbs and all kinds of diseases because of these assholes' lies, and they don't get prosecuted. All right, and everywhere these people touch something, they destroy something. So how are they any different than any terrorist organization? So, I mean, people say, okay, well, they make a proposal, but eventually the Democratic and the United States system works and stuff. Aren't you outraged by the original? I mean, what is it? If they suggested that they take and dig common graves and murder everybody and shoot them, all the sick people and sick them, the poor and the unemployed, and the people who are incarcerated by the drug war, which are mostly black and the Latinos, if they suggested that they throw them in, that they murder them, that the original plan for them to deal with crime and health, and so-called crime, the crime of smoking a joint, which Mike Pence is against, and the whole administration is against, legalizing marijuana. If they say that this their original plan, would you not be outraged? Because eventually they will work out something good? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? The original proposal should be a huge red flag If it's an outlandish, inhumane, and murderous plan, like this health plan is, and like everything that comes out of this fucking new Republican Party that we have now, the extremist right-wing murderers piece of shit, if you're not outraged by it and you support it, then I guess you're just like them.